Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this event in the RSS Members Week, aimed at our eStudent and GradStat members to give you, as our early career members, an opportunity to learn about the Society and the support tools that are available to you. And just do a little bit of housekeeping first. If you would like to ask any questions during the talks and discussions that we've got for you this lunchtime, please put your questions in the chat box, or you can use the raise hand icon to draw attention, and we will bring you in. Please can everyone keep their microphones muted during the talks, otherwise we will get some echo and we won't be able to hear properly. And if you're not speaking or presenting, please could you turn your camera off. What would also be interesting as well, if you would like to pop in the chat box as to where you're joining us from, because it's always interesting to see where people are. So please do let us know via the chat box as to where you are. I think that's it with the housekeeping. If I move on and just introduce myself, I am Sarah Hilditch. I am Honorary Officer for Membership with the RSS. In my professional career, I'm based in Sheffield at the university. I'm Director of the Statistical Services Unit, leading a wide-ranging statistical consultancy and data analysis service. In terms of the RSS, I've been involved with the RSS for many years, mostly with the local group here in Sheffield. I've been Secretary and Treasurer of the local group. I've also been involved with the RSS International Conference and been on the conference board, which also gave me an opportunity to contribute to the President Nominating Committee. And I've been Honorary Officer for Membership for almost 4 years, which in turn also makes me a trustee and member of the RSS Council, and I've also been the RSS Diversity Champion. In terms of the plan of what we're going to do this afternoon, I've got a few slides just to tell you a little bit more about the RSS, and then we will move on to our speaker presentations. We've got Aura Popper, Regina Burgess and Craig Anderson talking, and then I'll come back and wrap up at the end. There will be opportunity for questions at the end of each talk, just depending on how we go, and there'll certainly be some time at the end if you've got any questions that you'd like us to pick up on. So let me tell you a little bit more about this event. We do a number of these events to introduce our members to the Society. It just allows you to tell you a little bit more about what the Society does, and gives you the opportunity to find out about what opportunities and support are available to you from the RSS, volunteering and networking opportunities within the RSS, and what the Society can provide to help you develop your professional career. In terms of telling you a little bit about the RSS itself, because I'm sure you're all fairly new to the RSS, we actually have we're a society of over 10,000 members. Around 6,000 or so of those are designated as fellows, and we have somewhere around 3,000, 3,000 student members. These numbers, I'm afraid, are a little bit of a hybrid. We tend to do an official cut on membership numbers on the 31st of December, but we have pulled some numbers out that we've used for this membership week, so it's a little bit of a hybrid between the two, I'm afraid. Just in graphical, just to show you how that looks, we have our student members. We then have our GradStats. We've got just under 1,000 GradStats. People then move on to become a chartered statistician. Some of our members just remain as fellows, and that's the bulk of our members at the moment. And then we also have a category of teacher members. We're going to talk about some of those categories, and particularly the professional progression from GradStat to CStat this afternoon, tell you a little bit more about that, so I won't dwell too much on that. Just to say a little bit about our members, it is very diverse. It is people do stay with the RSS for a long time. I realise that this graphic will be a little bit small, but it just shows you how long our members have been with us. Over on the left-hand side, you will all be somewhere in those first few bars at the early stages of your career. And we've got the CStats in blue, the fellows in red, and then we've got the GradStats in green. But some of our members have been with us for a very long time. We've actually got a small number of members who've been with us for over 60 years. I joined the RSS about 30 years ago, so I'm actually coincidentally in that little spike in the middle of the chart, which is actually when the RSS joined with the Institute of Statisticians. That's why there's a little blip there in the membership numbers. Just sticking a little bit more with the system numbers, we are international, and around a quarter of our members and fellows are actually outside of the UK in something like 120 countries worldwide. As I said, we've got lots of younger members who haven't been with us for very long, and this is what these events are about, to introduce you to the RSS, but we do have a number of fellows who have been with us for a long time, and say around 45 who've been with us for over 60 years. Some of the things that we're going to talk about this afternoon are the different types of ways you can get involved with the RSS. So I'm just going to say a little bit about the local groups and sections and special interest groups. These are particular sort of divisions, I suppose, for want of a better word, within the RSS. Local groups are regional. We have 20 local groups, and they cover the length and breadth of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. But we also have 2 international local groups in Nigeria and the Arabian and Persian Gulf. Sections of the society are more based around particular applications of statistics and data science. So that you'll see we've got business statistics, we've got medical, and we also have the young statisticians. Craig's going to talk to us a little later about some work with the young statisticians who covers our career young members. And then we currently also have 3 special interest groups looking at particular things. Currently those are women in data science and statistics, teaching statistics, and finance and economics. So that's actually all from me at the moment. I'm actually going to hand over to Ricky now, Ricky McGowan. Ricky is a member of the RSS staff. He's head of professional standards and accreditation. And so, Ricky, I've got to stop presenting. Hopefully that's worked. And I can hand over to Ricky, who's going to introduce you to our first batch of talks. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sarah. Thank you everyone for joining as well. It's really great to have you here for Members Week, coming from all over as well, looking at the chat. So it's great to see that everyone's completing the chat and saying where they're from. So such a wide range of members coming from all over. So it's great to see. Just before we introduce our speakers, I'm just going to share some slides just to give you a brief overview of what you're going to be hearing from today. From the speakers, so hopefully everyone can see my screen. As I said, that you can see that it is very, very brief. So they're going to be talking about the professional membership and how that has helped them through their career and how they progressed through each stage. So just wanted to put in front of you what that is before they start talking, so you all have a bit more knowledge than maybe what you already have, and some of you may have already looked into it and know a bit about as well. So the professional pathway at the RSS is 3 categories of professional membership, in addition to being a fellow from once you join as a full member from being an e-student. So those 3 categories are on the screen. We have an entry-level category that is data analyst, that is launched this year. We have a graduate statistician or GradStat level, which recognises academic qualifications. And then we have the pinnacle, the chartered statistician status, so recognising both your academic and your professional experience of at least 5 years working in industry. So they're the three categories that you hear about. Just to give you a bit more about each of the overall categories of membership within the RSS. Yeah, for e-students, for anyone in full-time in education or part-time. And it must be said, as you hear from some of the explanations today, as well as being an e-student, you don't then become a fellow professional. You can go back, and depending on your career, it may be appropriate for you to come out of membership and go back to being an e-student if you go back to doing a PhD. And I think we'll hear some of those examples today. So just know that the membership is flexible for everyone who's wanting to join. Don't think that you can't go back to being an e-student if you take up a PhD, especially. Then we have the ordinary membership, what we call fellowship. Anyone can join as a fellow. We encourage it, we reference it. So do look at doing that if you haven't done already. And then we have the professional categories. So as per the slide before, those people with a statistical qualification or training and or a mixture of 5 or more years of professional experience. So there's different requirements at each level. Just one of the other things I will say about whilst being an e-student, a really good thing is it was really good to hear about the sections and local groups. So if you do want to get involved, you don't have to be a member. E-students can get co-opted as well. So do take advantage of that if you do have an interest and you want to get involved in a section or special interest group. There's lots there to become involved in, and we're always looking for more help. So a bit about each of the 3 professional awards. Again, this is very light touch, so I won't go into great detail. So the data analyst, as I said, is just an introductory award. It's formal recognition of someone's statistical training and data training. So recognizing that a lot of our statisticians and data scientists are coming into the profession from a less traditional background. So they may not have a statistics degree, they may have a geography degree or a computing degree where they've done some form of analytical or data training, and they want recognition of that training. So that's what the data analyst title is for. We have the Graduate Statistician Award, which is the traditional accreditation based on a statistics-based degree. We also have a competency-based route for this option. So people who, again, may have not come via a traditional degree, but have educated to degree level and then been working in industry to do with statistics for at least 2 years can apply for that. And then we have the chartered statistician status. So anyone with 5 or more years of professional experience on top of being educated to degree level. In terms of why apply, well, you'll hear from the experts in a moment, so I won't go too much into detail about this because it's really their experience and it'll be more relative to you. But just from our point of view, it is a really valuable addition to your CV. It does make you very competitive, and it is just a measure of assurance to not only employers but contractors and collaborators of statisticians as well. And again, as I say, you'll hear more from the individuals themselves about that. And this slide is just telling you there are some basics in terms of how you apply, but I won't go into detail again about this. This is just merely to put it in front of you that there are some basic requirements that you'll need at each level and when you go to apply. But again, you can get in touch and look at the slides afterwards as well if you want more details about that. So now I'm going to introduce you to the 2 speakers we have who's here to talk about their careers and how they've found going through the membership categories. We're really lucky to have these 2 members. So you're first going to hear from Aura Popper, who Aura Popper is a chartered statistician of the Society. She started her career as a data analyst in Ipsos, Romania. Then for a few years, she was then a research analyst and teaching assistant with the Academic of Economic Studies. As a consultant at the statistical company, Aura works directly with end clients such as the Walt Disney Company and Sony Electronics, as well as with market research agencies who need help with advanced analytics. And then once you've heard from Aura, we're also lucky to hear from Regina Vergis. Regina is a biostatistician at Parexel International. Prior to that, Regina was working in the healthcare setting as a biostatistician. Regina has a keen interest in promoting statistical literacy among non-statisticians and is a member of the RSS Northern Ireland Committee and NIHR Improving Statistical Literacy groups. As you can see, really two involved members of the society, and I hope you enjoyed their talk. So I'll first hand over to Aura, if that's okay.
So thank you so much. I hope you can see my screen, right? Yeah, all good? Okay, cool. So today I'm going to talk to you about my career progression and how the Royal Statistical Society supported this progression. And I'm going to show you a little bit my career path, what tools I'm using, when I was a mentee and as a graduate statistician, how the Royal Statistical Society supported my career path, and now that I'm a chartered statistician, the fact that I'm a mentor and a way to give back. Unfortunately, I will have to leave at past, but you can drop me any questions via email, or you can raise the hand at the end of my short presentation. So I graduated statistics and econometrics. First the bachelor degree in 2008 and then a master degree in 2010. And then I applied to the Royal Statistical Society for the profession of a graduate statistician, which was awarded in July 2013. And I got a chartered statistician only in October 2018. And I'm going to talk you through this experience and how it was. Also to point that I'm having about 14 years experience in statistics for market research, and I work both in public and private sector and in consulting. So this is my career path. It's a little visualization of it. So I started in 2008 as a data analyst at Ipsos Mori in Romania. Then I was a research analyst and a teaching assistant at the Academy of Economic Studies in Bucharest in Romania. And then I moved to London. I work as a research analyst for YouGov, then a statistical analyst for BUBUK, then again a research analyst for Catalyst Housing Association. And since 2018, I created my own company called the Statistical Company, through which I offer consulting for market research agencies and direct clients like Sony or the Walt Disney Company. Before the pandemic started, I worked at Euromoney as head of insights, and right now I'm lead analyst at Nominet. In case any of you are searching for work, I'm hiring at Nominet for 2 positions for data analyst. So yeah, contact me and see if your CV matches the skills that we need. And in terms of technical tools, the tools that I use and I learned throughout my career, these are not only the tools that I learned in, let's say, in my university degree. This is something that I learn continuously. Obviously, the Office suite, but then I know how to code in IBM SPSS statistics, in SAS, in R, in Python. Then I use a BI tool for data visualization, Tableau and Power BI. And then I also use Qualtrics, that is a software to design and implement surveys. SQL, I think anybody should know a little bit. And then QGIS is for spatial statistics and analytics. Now, in terms of when I was a mentee, and I hope that lots of you are just starting their careers, and there are a few of you are graduate statisticians. How the process happened was that I got my graduate statistician status from the Royal Statistical Society based on the education and some experience that I had. And then I also asked them for a mentor. You can ask for a mentor to go through a mentorship program. And then you can, again, based on the mentorship feedback and then the professional experience, you can use that to apply for a chartered statistician status. I got a graduate statistician in July 2013. And then I applied for a mentor, but only in September 2016, the Royal Statistical Society came back and asked me, would you still want to have a mentor? And I was like, yes, definitely. And it took a little bit of time because the Royal Statistical Society is very good at matching the right mentor with the right graduate. So for example, I wanted somebody that had market research statistics experience, and we found him in the shape and form of Leo Cremonesi, who was also a chartered statistician. And the journey was out of different stages. So the first stage was we met together, we talked about what I wanted to get from the mentorship. Then we created a plan. We met once a month and we stick to it. So for example, every single month we will have a discussion about, this month will be about segmentation, next month will be about multi-discrete choice models, etc. So every single month I will have to prepare something else. And he will guide me through a lot of communication between our face-to-face meetings, through email, Skype, WhatsApp. And then it will sometimes take me to prepare for it days or weeks, because there were topics that I needed to prepare myself to a very good level. When I was having the chance with Leo. And then Leo also made key recommendations for my career. He said, go to the Royal Statistical Conference, go to different events. He listened and also advised where and what should I do with my career. And especially at the end when he said, right, there's nothing else I can teach you. You can now go and apply for the chartered statistician status. He also recommended me to be a mentor. And I think that was very important because I wanted to find a way to pay back the Royal Statistical Society for all the support that I was given. Also, don't forget that being a mentee, you can collect CPD points through the exercises and the work that you're doing towards your mentorship. And then I was awarded the Chartered Statistician status in 2018. Now, as a mentor, I became a mentor since February 2019. And I'm always using this line of the British line, why change something that works? So I keep the same structure that I had with my previous mentor. And I'm more focusing on soft skills, data viz, and management, because I think everybody learns all the basics and all the good things, theoretical parts in the university, and all the graduate statisticians that are accepted by the Royal Statistical Society have a very good high standard of knowledge. Obviously, if there are specific cases that the mentees need some support, I'm happy to provide. Now, I don't know everything, and I like to say this, that I'm not my fault, I don't know everything. If there is something very specific that the mentee wants to find, and I know a very good expert about it, I put them in touch, and because I have also a good network. And again, don't get disheartened if your first, let's say you get a mentor and it doesn't work. It might not always work, and it might be a misalignment and differences between what you expect and how the mentor is working. And this is normal. Even the Royal Statistical Society has some kind of like advice of how this relationship should be, and what you should do or what you shouldn't do. And again, as a mentor, I'm using this as a form of CPD activity. Now, some small recommendations for your career path. When can you start to be a chartered statistician or a graduate statistician? Anytime. Just make sure that you tick all the boxes. If you're not sure, instead of spending a lot of time into getting your application forward, I would just get in contact with some people. Like, for example, Royal Statistical Society put me in contact with some people that wanted to apply for the chartered statistician, and we just had a half-an-hour call, and I said, yeah, go for it, or tweak here, or try to do some course in the next few months to tick all the boxes. And another advice that I can give you as a beginning of your career is to continuous learn. And the Royal Statistical Society, through the CPD scheme, this is what is also recommended for anybody, doesn't matter what age or what status they have within the society. Try to invest in yourself, and although this might sound a little bit crazy, try to spend your own money in investing in yourself, training, books, materials, access to courses, and network. So my mentor, and I always quote him on this, he says, networking is more important than a PhD, and I totally agree with him. And if you're taking the consultant path, try to make sure that you're not a lonely wolf, that you have somebody to back you up in high demand periods or when you're away on holiday. And remember, don't sell yourself cheap. Right now, the market is very hot in the sense of like there are a lot of data analysts required on the market, and don't sell yourself cheap. You're worth it. And if you have any questions, this is me at Disney. It was a pleasure to work for them because it's almost like being in a fun park. Please write to me on this following email if you need any advice or just to get in contact, or if you want to apply for the job that I'm hiring right now. Happy to help with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Aura. Do we have any questions? I think we had one in the chat, but Ricky's answered that one. Is there anything else that anyone would like to ask Aura? Because I am conscious that Aura can't stay right through to the end with us.
It's fine. If anybody wants to help to have any questions afterwards, please email me. I will drop my email address in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Aura. Thank you for that. So I think we can hand over to Regina now.
Hello. Yes, I will try and share my screen now. Is my screen visible?
I can see it, Regina, yes.
Yes. Yes, we can see your screen.
Thank you, everybody. So I think the people are joining from all over. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So I'm just going to give a brief overview of my professional journey and also the my RSS journey. So we are asking, like, we are concentrating on people applying to, starting from any student and becoming a CSAT. So there will be a lot of examples on how do you do that, being resilient and then trying to do that. So basically, I'll be talking about my professional journey, my RSS journey, and some of the RSS outreach work that I do, and then about why you should join RSS, and then membership categories. So in terms of my professional journey, so I started, I started my math ordinary degree in 2003. So all my degrees I completed in India before moving to the UK. So in the UK, in 2009, I joined the clinical trials unit in Northern Ireland as a junior biostatistician. And then I'm currently working as a biostatistician 2 in a company called Paraxel International. So previously I was working in a healthcare setting up until 2019 before moving to pharmaceutical industry. Just wanted to get diverse experience and then, get more experience basically. So in relation to my RSS journey, so as soon as, so I remember when I was in India, I Googling about Royal Statistical Society and then trying to see whether I can actually join when I am studying. But then I thought at that time I was like completely naive and then couldn't like get in touch. But I think most of most of you here who is listening to this talk will be doing your education. I think you'll be doing your degree or master's or PhD. So it will be a good idea.
A little bit weak, yeah. Once we start sleeping a bit. Okay. Wi-Fi. Moshi? Yeah, of course. It's not very clean. Not very clean.
Sorry, I think someone's got their microphone on. Could they turn it off, please? Yeah, give it a go, Reggie, and see if you can.
Yes, yeah. So we are actually encouraging all of you who is doing the degrees or masters or PhD to join RSS rather than wait until you get a job. So I only made my initial contact with RSS in 2009 after getting a job. And then in 2010, I was awarded GradStat. And in 2013, I did a midterm assessment where I had to do some of my, what are the different elements for different CPD items that I have completed to see whether I'm progressing towards a chartered statistician status. And then I was allocated a mentee as well, a mentor as well. I registered as a mentee, and then a mentor was allocated to me. So as Aura said, so there is like a lot of matching goes on. So I was allocated a person who had experience with National Health Service for over 30 years. And so I was working at health service at that time. So it was very good to be in touch with somebody who is in healthcare and who is a part of a professional body like RSS. And I remember, I think after a few years, I was in touch with her and for some time for something, and she said like, "Oh, I saw your name in a grant application," and I was thinking, "Oh, you're progressing with your career." So I thought that she never forgot me, and then it was a personal touch. So I was in touch with her. Over email because she was over in Scotland. I was in Northern Ireland. And then she retired. So in 2015, I was awarded CStat, and then I went back to studying. I thought that, so in 2015, again, I became a student. At that time, I was joined as a full-time PhD student. And then after the 3 years, I revalidated as a CStat, where I wrote different items, because at that time, even though I was doing the PhD, my statistical professional or the CPD work was reduced. So I had to keep up, as Ricky said, that 60-hour statistical based work or learning activity or some kind of work. And then in 2018, I was revalidated, and I joined RSS-NI, the local group. You don't need a CStat to join the local group. You can join the group if anybody interested. You can just, Sarah have shared the list of local groups, and then you can try and explore the ways to join them. And then I'm still part of RSS-NI local group, and I serve as the honorary treasurer for the group. So it is one of the outreach work I have done. It is something with primary school children to be let them know, being a statistician is a career. So you'll be wondering what the P2 a primary school child will know about statistics. So when they ask them about, who do you think is a scientist, and always they say it is a male wearing a white coat. So it was very important to let them know, stop stereotyping from a very young age, and asking them to them to see what is your height, and how do you think your height will be used in everyday thing. And then if you go to your classroom in P2, what will be your chair size, and if you go to P7, they will have a different chair size. So how will be this data collected? And then check your grocery store bill and see how things change, and how money is spent over time, how much money is spent on bread every week versus how much money you spend on gadgets and stuff, and then trying to figure out what is the average height for the a particular class, and that is generated, that data is collected, and how they use for different stuff. And then another thing I have done just before the lockdown was to do with randomized control trial, because there was a lot of news about vaccine development and efficacy of a drug. So it was part of another a bigger competition, but then the competition was not carried out because of the lockdown. So the kids were asked about, what is randomizing people into two groups, and then, how it is done if you're doing it by hand, and, but everything is done in a software, and how do you collect the data, and how you take the temperature, and then have the data, and then you calculate the mean and standard deviation and decide which drug is better. So it was the kids, I think they were I think it was an eye-opener for them. I think most of them do not know that it's as a career, statistician as a career. So future plans is to restart the STEM events planning, and then register as an RSS mentor, and then do some work in the Statisticians for Society. So why should you join RSS? So in terms, RSS is a very diverse group. So you can meet a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life. And if you, I'm a medical statistician. If you go to a medical conference, you only meet medical statisticians. But in RSS, you meet environmental statistician, ethical people who work in ethics, law, criminology, a diverse group, people with different walks of life, different level of experience. So it's a diverse group. And then when you're a student, you learn a lot, and then at that time, you network with a lot of different groups. And then, I think it will help you to explore the different choices and to explore the different options and make better choices. So it is so I always think it's a global task force. It's like a big community where you can, network and then improve your career choices. So Ricky and Sarah have talked about it. So this is the membership categories, like Chartered Statistician is the highest one. You can join as a student when you're studying, and then a fellow, you can be part of, we can be a fellow if you have an interest in statistics and can remain. And these three are the professional membership categories, which Ricky have talked about. So each of the, Ricky mentioned about number of hours that you should be completing for every membership categories. So this is the components of a CPD activity. So whenever you do an activity, like you took a training of a basic statistics course, for example, you write that down, saying that what is the category of it? Was it a work-based learning, or a training, or a professional activity you did? And then you describe, write it out, what did you actually do, and then how many hours you took, and then what benefited, how it benefited yourself, and also how can it benefit others as well. So that is about it. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, this is the link for joining. You can click on this link and then try and see the different options there. And then this is the Twitter account details. Thank you. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Regina. We've had a couple of questions come in the chat. One about PhD counted towards CSTAT. Ricky's answered that one for us. Okay, so Domenico is asking about the process like for revalidation of a CSAT status. Is it just like applying for CSAT status for the first time, or is there a kind of fast track process involved? The process for revalidation of the CSTAT is more like just demonstrating the CPD that you have done over a period of time, and that you in some sense is demonstrating that you're still an active professional statistician. Regina, I don't know whether you want to, or Ricky, do you want to chip in any more on that?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. as part of my role, I oversee the revalidation process. So just to give a little bit of information about that. So anyone who holds CStat has to revalidate that award every 5 years. It can be sooner if deemed necessary. However, every 5 years, a holder is contacted and asked to confirm that they have been upkeeping their CPD, and they're asked to submit a 12-month CPD record of their learning hours over 4 different categories. That is then assessed by a team of reviewers over a couple of month period, and a proportion of which are then audited. So only a small proportion of those are audited and asked for additional information. However, it's just a one-sheet document that audit complies with. So it's a very light touch process, totally different to the application process. And as I said, we only hold it every 5 years.
Thank you, Ricky. Yes, I revalidated my CStat earlier this year, and I never lie to Ricky. My heart sinks when the email comes in, but it is actually okay. It's just a matter, if you're regularly keeping training records, it's actually very easy to do. Any more questions? Oh, yes, we've got lots coming in. Let's have a look. So Regina, someone's asked you if you could go back one slide. I'm not sure what that was for.
This one?
Not quite sure what that was about. I don't know whether does someone want to come in and... Yes, that was it. Thank you. Yes, that was it. Oh, I don't know whether we can answer. How does a GradStat in their 50s, ex-chartered mechanical engineer living in a rural area, get their first statistician job? I'm not sure whether I can give a guidance on that. Is there anybody else online got any of the other speakers got something to contribute to that?
I suppose I would just guess now that there are we're finding a lot more and more statistical and data jobs being awarded remotely. So your location is no longer probably as big a boundary as it once was, we're finding from members. So I would definitely keep going and keep looking for the specific role. I can't give you any specific advice, but maybe if you haven't done this already, maybe join a local group or special interest section that might be relative, and see if you can gain a network there and get any further advice from members already working in that area. But from my initial point, I will say we are seeing an increase in members working more and more remotely.
Yes, I think we're finding definitely in our role, we haven't gone back to the office yet because we don't really need to. We can work just as well remotely, and I think a lot of people in a stats role may well be finding that too. I think this next one might be another one for you, Ricky, actually. Does the RSS have a professional framework for a data scientist like they have for a data analyst? In an analytics team, some companies can't really differentiate between a machine learning engineer, data engineer, and a data scientist. Sometimes all such roles are being done by one person. Well, I can certainly say, yes, I think the borders between the different roles can be a little unclear, and I think you will have roles where someone will call the role a statistician, other people will call it a data scientist, and it is a little bit blurry around the edges. I don't know whether you can add anything to that, Ricky?
Yeah, definitely. I think I can probably give some good news in that area and say it's coming. It is on its way. I was actually been in meetings most of this week finalising those standards. So we are in a position where they will be released soon. It is a joint venture with other learning societies in the relative areas, such as the British Computing Society, the Operational Research Society, the Turing Institute and the IMA, the Maths and its applications. So all the relative bodies have joined together to come up with some joint standards and that can be recognised by each of us depending on the specialities involved. So we know data science is quite wide, as you've alluded to. So they are on their way. They are coming, and they will be here at some point, I would say, in the second half of next year, maybe over the summer. In their final form, but do keep an eye on our website. We have been publishing stories about it. There was a recent story in the Significance and an interview with Rachel Hidiam about that. So do keep an eye out on that. In terms of carrying both designations, CSTAT and data science, yes, is something we would encourage. You would hold a certificate in data science, whilst you can also be a recognised chartered statistician. And much like many of our members are, we have chartered statisticians who are also chartered scientists, who are also chartered engineers, chartered mathematicians. So it's just, again, another way of advertising the skill set that each of you have.
Lovely. Thank you, Ricky, for giving us the update on where that is, where that's up to. I think we should probably move on now. Okay, so we have been talking a little bit about local groups during the course of this and the sections, and the local groups run a series of seminars and activities, as do the sections, and those are open to everyone. So it does give you opportunities to get involved with the RSS. I'm now going to hand over to Craig Anderson. So Craig is a senior lecturer in statistics at the University of Glasgow. He completed his PhD in Glasgow in 2015 and worked as a postdoc at the University of Technology, Sydney for 2 years before returning to Glasgow for a permanent role in 2017. And Craig is currently the secretary of the YSS, the Young Statisticians section. And I think, Craig, you're going to tell us a little bit about the activities that the YSS do.
Yeah, that's right. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to try and share my screen and then we'll get started. This didn't work the other day when we were practicing, but it does look like it's working perfectly today. So fingers crossed, everyone can now see my talk. Someone just one person can acknowledge it and then we'll be good to go.
Yeah, I can see it, Craig.
Perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to talk today about getting involved with the Young Statisticians section of the RSS. So I thought I'll start with a little bit about background of myself. Sarah provided some of that already, but I, as you can probably tell from the accent, are from the west of Scotland. I grew up about half an hour from Glasgow, and I studied, as many people from the west of Scotland do, at the University of Glasgow. Did my undergraduate degree. I did a BSc Honours in Statistics in Glasgow. Graduated from that in 2011, and did my PhD also at Glasgow. I spent a couple of years in Sydney at the University of Technology, Sydney. And in fact, in the bottom part of the harbour there on this image, round about here somewhere, you can see where I used to live. So I had a very nice 2 years over there. Wonderful city, but the lure of Glasgow, the draw of Glasgow, and more importantly, the draw of a permanent job brought me back home. And I've been here at Glasgow since 2017, so just over 4 years now. And I thought, I'm going to talk today about the YSS and what the YSS do. And the YSS is essentially an organisation for all young or early career statisticians. And that means people from with a wide, diverse background in terms of the actual research areas that they work on, which is unlike many of the other kind of sections of the Royal Statistical Society. But specifically, my research interest, because I thought it might be interesting to some people, is that I work on a lot of spatial statistics, so a lot of disease modelling, mapping disease risk in cities. So this is the city of Glasgow here, and you can see kind of disease risk across the city. I think this was for respiratory disease. I also did some stuff on modelling child growth and development. This has been particularly interesting to me over the last year. I've got a 1-year-old now, so I kind of occasionally check that she's still following the right height and weight as well. So I bring my work and my personal life together, which they're always inexorably linked anyway. So that's just a little bit of background about myself, but we're not really here to talk about me, even though I would enjoy doing that. We're here to talk about the Young Statisticians section of the Royal Statistical Society. And the Young Statisticians section is itself still quite young. We heard Sarah talk earlier about how the Royal Statistical Society is, but the Young Statisticians section has only been around since 2008. And it brings together young and early career statisticians from all kind of sectors and career paths. So rather than being about people, as I said, with a particular research interest, a particular career choice, it's about people who are young or in their early career. And the definition for that tends to be within 10 years of graduation. So students and then people who are within 10 years of graduation. And by this definition, unfortunately, that means that this year will be my last year as being classed as young. I will no longer be able to, in any sense, call myself a young person. And more sadly for me, that means that I've been a member of the committee of the Young Statisticians section for the last 3 years. I'm currently the secretary of it, but unfortunately I will have to step down from that at the end of the year and let some younger people join in my place, and more on that later. But there's a little link here for some more information about the Young Statisticians section. So what do the Young Statisticians section do? Well, they do a lot of things. They organise social and professional events for young statisticians, including many events at the RSS conference that happens every year. So this is from the final, I believe, in kind of fully in-person RSS conference that we had, or not the final one, but the most recent one, and hopefully there'll be a full one again in Aberdeen next year. But this was in Belfast, and the YSS, all the people in the red t-shirts, and this is me here, hiding behind my colleague Emily. All the people in the red t-shirts were from the YSS, and we organised several events. This was a social event, a lunchtime event, to try and give young people a chance to kind of get to know each other, to meet each other during the conferences. So we do a mix of social events like this, which obviously have the aim, if you're a young person, and it certainly applied to me, going to the conference for the first time, it can be a scary experience in the sense that you don't feel like you know many people. This is a way to kind of get to know several people, and involvement with YSS events can really help you in that respect, and it's good for networking. There's lots of people I've met through my involvement in the YSS that I'm pretty sure I can kind of continue to stay in touch with for a long time. But we also organise professional events. I'll talk some more about some of those, but everything to do with career events, things to do with standard academic talks and areas of interest, and generally trying to do everything we can to help young people to do the best they can with their career in a number of different ways. Some recent events that have been organised outside of the conference by the Young Statisticians section. We had our Women in Statistics Wikipedia editathon, and I think this is the second or third editathon, wikiathon, whatever you want to call it, that's been done. And the aim of these events is really to shine a bit more of a light on underrepresented people in terms of kind of creating Wikipedia pages, giving them a bit more visibility, and that was a hugely successful event. Very recently, at the start of this month, we had the Secret Statistician event. Any of you who attended that will know that it was a really fun event, and I chaired that event. So apologies if anyone did attend that and is now having to hear me twice in the same month. But that was kind of talking about all the career paths that people can have with a statistics degree or with a statistics background that you wouldn't automatically think of, and trying to make the point to young people that even though you've got a statistics degree, it doesn't mean you're kind of pigeonholed into certain career paths. There's lots of options out there. As I said, we also have things that are kind of more practical help sessions. So we had, ahead of the RSS conference, a webinar which was called What Makes a Great Poster Presentation. And the point of that webinar was to help people who were perhaps attending the conference for the first time and wanted to present a poster at the conference, as many younger, more early career statisticians will attend the conference with a poster. So it was providing you with an opportunity to kind of learn from some experts, from some previous poster winners and things like that, about what made a good poster presentation. We've also run several competitions, one of which was the Visualise That data visualization competition, and that was all about ways of visualizing data, essentially, how to look at some data and present it in a nice way. And again, that was an opportunity to bring young people together in a challenge and try to solve problems. We had several events of that nature. I wanted to, though, particularly talk about what's been, I think, my favourite event that we've organised in the 3 years I've been involved, and this was a primary school chart competition. So as well as doing all these events which help early career statisticians, we also take an active part in outreach and helping young people, younger even than yourselves, to get involved in statistics, or to show them that statistics can be fun. And so we essentially asked the primary school children, we put out, it was during Maths Week England, and so primary school children from across England and Wales to essentially produce some sort of statistical chart which represented some feature of their everyday life. I think we had about 75 entries for that, and I was one of the people who was involved in judging it, which was good fun. And as part of that, we received, well, these are four of the ones that I liked the best. We had this pie chart here, which was a literal pie chart, which someone had put together with people's favourite fruit flavours, which obviously worked really well. Someone had put together a kind of visual chart of their coloured T-shirts to show which colours were most frequent. We had someone who'd gone through a 650 gram tub of celebrations to kind of provide a visual chart of which chocolates were most common in that, and disappointed to see the lower frequency of the Malteser, which is very obviously the best one in the packet. And someone else had used some Lego to put together a world population map for each of the continents. They did lose marks for obviously missing off Antarctica at the end, but nonetheless they didn't really. That was a joke, just to confirm we're not mean to young children. But this was a nice example of some of the events that we've been involved in, and that was great fun to do. So after me selling this wonderful society, you'll probably be desperate to get involved with it. So how can you do that? And there's lots of ways. There's lots of low-key ways, or there's lots of kind of more involved ways that you can kind of get involved with the YSS. Easiest thing you can do if you have a Twitter account is follow the YSS on Twitter at StatsYSS. There's a link there as well. It's a fairly active Twitter account. It kind of updates you on all the events that we're running, promotes some of the things that we're doing, and provides kind of updates on when the events are running, some pictures and some visual content, especially as we start to get back towards some in-person events. We also have a mailing list through the YSS, through the Royal Statistical Society website. If you sign up to the Royal Statistical Society site, you can then kind of opt in to the mailing list from the YSS, and that will give you information about the events that are running. As I mentioned already, at the RSS conference every year, the YSS run kind of lots and lots of events, and we're always very welcoming to kind of say hello to people. So the next conference, obviously in Aberdeen next year, there will be a nice easy way, probably red T-shirts again to identify YSS members. Come and say hello, introduce yourself, and you'll be kind of pointed in the direction of some other younger people as well. Or attend one of the many, many events that we run. As I say, if you keep an eye out for what's going on, they're generally good fun and they're generally very useful in your career. If you want to be even more involved in that, as I mentioned earlier, I am having to step down from the committee, and a number of other members are in a similar position. So there are a few vacancies on the YSS committee, and that invitation has gone out at the moment for people to apply. You can see that more recently we've had to meet via Zoom, but we are actually having our next in-person, our next meeting will be in person in London, which we're looking forward to, though of course with an option for people to call in. So there are lots of ways that you can get involved, whether you want to do something kind of less involved, or whether you want to, go the whole way as I did at one point, and become part of the committee, which I found to be an incredibly useful experience. What will you get out of it? Apart from what I've talked about already, opportunities to learn new skills. If you're organising events, certainly as an early career person, you maybe don't get many chances to organise things within your own department, within your own workplace. So I was able to learn, how to start organising events. Also, obviously, just kind of basic career networking skills like that. Through being involved, I've made friends that I will probably keep in touch with for a very long time. Some great people, so that's another kind of bonus. As I say, it can help you at the RSS conference when you turn up and you maybe don't know too many people, to have people who are kind of at the same stage as you. And it can also kind of improve your CV. Being involved in these events are things that can go on your CV, which will be of interest to potential employers. So that's kind of a bit of an overview of what the YSS does as part of the RSS, and what kind of you might be able to get out of that. So thank you so much for listening to me today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much, Craig. We've had a couple of questions. So Dylan's asked, just asked if there a cost of joining the YSS. I think Ricky's actually just posted an answer like for fellowship to the RSS. No, once you're a member of the RSS, that gives you that makes all the local groups and sections open to you. You don't have to pay to join them. Further, I think it was also Dylan a little bit further up, which Ricky's had a stab at answering, but has offered to the other speakers to chip in. Would we say that a natural gift for statistics and mathematics is required to become a statistician, or can an individual learn to become a good one? That's a challenging question, Dylan. I think it's probably an element of both. I think you can learn to become a good statistician for definite. With sort of application and so on. I head a small team of consultant statisticians. In that respect, I would say there are some natural characteristics that probably make you a little bit better consultant statistician than others. But everyone can learn. And given that you're in the hotspot, Craig, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think I just more or less agree with you on that, Sarah. I think you don't have to be an amazing mathematician to be a good statistician. I don't think at all. I mean, I've always had an interest in maths, and it's always been something I've been good at. But the reason I ended up doing a statistics degree was I came to university to study maths, and I realised that for me, maths was, once I kind of got into the it's a 4-year degree here in Scotland. Once I got into the second year of that degree, I started to realise that the mathematics was getting further and further away from what I was interested in. It didn't seem directly kind of applicable. There wasn't applications involved, whereas I was studying statistics as a kind of second subject at the time, and I realised that was drawing me in a lot more. And I think you have to have some degree of understanding of how mathematics works. Things like linear algebra are crucial to statistics, but if you can, there's a much lower bar to clear in terms of mathematical knowledge, I think, to be a statistician, and probably even an applied mathematician, compared to wanting to work in kind of a pure mathematical setting. So I think you have to be a numerically minded person who kind of wants to solve problems and all of that type of thing. But I don't think it's an impossible task if you would consider yourself to be an average mathematician, if you know what I mean.
Thanks, Craig. Does anybody else want to chip in on that, or have we got any more questions for Craig? I think we've answered everything that's been asked so far. I think someone's just confirmed what we were just already saying. Communication skills matter the most, in my opinion, in a professional environment. All the techniques can be learned with practice and dedication. I think that's very true. Okay. I think we seem to go. So thank you, Craig. I can also tell you that Craig is a very good quiz master for the YSS as well. Thank you very much, Craig. I think I will. Oh, sorry, small question. So one more. Can undergraduate students who are members of RSS apply to be a volunteer of YSS committee? The short answer is yes, you can be co-opted onto the committee. Is that right, Craig? You can't, like any other committee, you can't be a full member of the committee?
So that was my understanding, but Amika's on the call, who might actually be, if she's there, might be better placed to answer that, because I wouldn't want to give out the wrong answer. My understanding is the same as yours, Sarah, that they would be able to apply, but there might be a couple of restrictions on that. But I don't know if Amika is here, in which case she might, because she's the person that I would always ask if I wasn't sure about something. if you're here.
Yeah, I can help. So yes, you can join the section. You'll be co-opted onto the section. You'll be able to participate in the activities, so attend the committee meetings, organize events. The only thing is that we won't cover sort of your travel expenses, but that doesn't, and you potentially can't vote on certain things, but that doesn't really apply as much now because a lot of meetings are remote. So and a lot of committees don't really vote on things as much, so it's not really an issue. So if you do see vacancies, you can offer, to join. I would always highlight our local groups are never fully subscribed, so you can always join a local group committee, wherever you are. So yeah, consider that as well, not just our sections, but our local groups, because it's just the same thing, organizing these events that are of interest to you, basically.
Just to add to Amika's answer in terms of the travel and everything, I'm pretty sure it will be policy from now on. I think it basically always has been that meetings, even if meetings are held in person with the YSS, there has always been an option to call in. Certainly, I've had to, like if there's some meetings in London, and I'm obviously, it's a long journey for me, and I try to go if I can, but occasionally I've got to be in Glasgow, and there's always been the option to call in, and that would be the same for anyone else.
Good, thank you. Right, okay, I will move on then in that case. I think we will have time for some more questions, but I'm just going to sort of wrap up with just a few more of the benefits of being a member of the RSS, and just a little bit more about what the RSS has given to me. Let me just pop my slides back up. So I'm very proud to be a part of the RSS and the community that provides. And so something that we do with all of our members, let me just get my slides to move, apologies, is try and highlight some of the benefits that members do get from being a part of the society. And some of these we have talked about during the course of this session. So obviously we've talked a lot about professional development and the accreditation pathways and how those can help you with your career. You get access to peer-reviewed journals, and I'm sure most of you will be familiar with Significance magazine. There are lots of events that happen throughout the year. There's the annual conference that happens in September. But as we've said, the local groups have a series of events, program events throughout the year, and as do the sections, and those are open for you to attend. There's more information on the website on what's going on in those. Some of those are starting to be back face-to-face, but a number of them are still online, so you would be able to join any of them. We've also talked a lot about the opportunities that the RSS gives you to connect and network with other members, which I think is one of the key things, as we've heard today. There is content that's available that's member exclusive. There are webinars, podcasts, and videos, and you also have the opportunity to share knowledge and expertise through volunteering for various schemes, including Statisticians for Society, AIMS, and the mentoring schemes. We've heard a little bit about the mentoring scheme today. We haven't had opportunity to talk about all of them, but as I say, there is plenty of information on the website on the various things that are available and that you can get access to. And I think I just wanted to wrap up by saying, yes, I started with the RSS as a student, like most of you that I think are on the call. We didn't have, 30 years ago, we didn't have a student membership in quite the same way as we have now, but I attended seminars for the local group, and I think I first volunteered in an unofficial capacity for the RSS when the conference was in Sheffield in 1992. And that was very unofficial. I sat underneath the overhead projector when a keynote speaker wanted someone to put the slides on and off the projector, and that was my first real interaction in a volunteering capacity for the RSS. As I highlighted at the beginning, I've done many other things since, and I never knew where that was going to take me. I've very much enjoyed being a part of the RSS, and to the point this year I was honoured with the Chambers Medal at conference just last month. The Chambers Medal, we have a series of honours. We don't often talk to members too much about the honours, but we have a series of honours that we give out, some every year, some every 3 years. The Chambers Medal rewards contributions to the society. So I was very privileged to be awarded that this year. That actually finishes me off. I'm going to come back to me. We do have some time for questions, but I hope that we have inspired you to make the RSS a part of your career, whether that be as data analyst, statistician, or data scientist, and that you will, enjoy your time with the RSS and make it a long career with the RSS. Any more questions? Let me just temporarily lost the chat. Okay. We've had a few in the chat, but I think Ricky's been answering those. I'd
like to ask a question.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I'd like to know if there is any local group in Nigeria.
The local group in Nigeria. Yes, we do have a local group in Nigeria. Amika, would you like to chip in with a little bit about that?
Yes, so we do have a local group in Nigeria. They've been active for about a couple of years now. I think they have their next event next month. I will pop the link to their page in the chat, but they are very active throughout the year, and a lot of their events currently are remote, so you will be able to join their meetings if you are interested.
Okay, so I think we've done that one. So I don't know whether you've seen that one, Craig. Sometimes sections run competitions, which are a fun way to get involved in a low-key way. For example, Statistics and Support section ran a Euro 2021 football competition, and YSS ran a database competition. Someone saying they would like to see more of those, please.
So yeah, thanks for that comment. I think we try as a YSS to run several competitions every year. They obviously are quite time consuming for the people who run them, which is probably why there aren't more of them, but it's something that we tend to enjoy doing. So yeah, you can probably expect to continue to see those coming over the next few years.
Lovely. So Mosa Baidi, what's the best way to network with RSS? I'm not quite sure where you're based. I think we would generally say local group is a good way to start to network with other statisticians and data scientists through the local group. I don't know whether that's something that's open to you. I'm not quite sure where you're based. I think Ricky's maybe chipped in with some of that as well. I think the RSS, the membership team, have been picking up a lot of the questions. I think. Check. I think we are dealing with most of the questions as they're coming in. Has anybody got anything else for any of the speakers? Oh, University of Warwick. Yes, definitely you should be able to link into a local group to the University of Warwick. And if you look on I can't just do it right now, but if you look on the RSS website under local groups, you'll be able to see what activities they are currently putting on. I'm afraid I don't know off the top of my head what their programme is currently looking like. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. Somebody from the RSS can tell me if I'm talking nonsense. Okay, I think it's probably about time for us to wrap up. I don't think we have any more questions coming in. Thank you very much to all of our speakers for giving up their time to put their presentations together and to be with us today. But more importantly, thank you to you, our members, members of our GradStats and CStats and of the future. Thank you very much for joining us. As I say, I do hope that we've inspired you to get more involved with the RSS, look into professional membership, and thank you very much. I hope we'll see you again soon, face to face soon, I hope too, where possible.